This is the ultimate maintenance and care guide for the 2022 Plus VB WRX, and basically any WRX, but we're specifically talking about the FA24 motor on the Subaru WRX. I don't care what your level of knowledge is about this car, we're going to be talking about things that are coming from me as the owner of an automotive performance company, or automotive parts company is probably the better term for the company that I own, that specifically services and works and builds parts for these cars. So I'm going to give you guys not just what Subaru recommends, not just what the data says that you should do, but I'm going to give you guys some real insights around seeing just hundreds and thousands of these things coming through customer cars and all those things. If you own one of these or want to own one of these, you will get quite a lot out of this video, and I highly recommend taking some notes, but we're going to get straight into this because this is probably the most important informational video that you're going to watch about a WRX today, this week, maybe even this year. But let's get into it. And we're talking about enough that I have to have my note sheet here. If you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to take better care of your WRX, or you just want to see cool WRX content or modification content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It would make my day, and it's absolutely free to do. We're going to start with oil changes because fluids and these, oil changes and other fluid changes are going to be the easiest and cheapest thing to do for the most part, and where you're going to get the most bang for buck in terms of care for your car. So I think there's two major things. There's intervals of mileage and time between oil changes and the type of oil. So I've got two rules of thumbs here. In terms of type of oil, I would use what Subaru recommends unless your tuner tells you otherwise. I think a lot of people want to upgrade their oil weight, and I think that you can do this, but in terms of just protecting your warranty, even if Subaru puts in a 5W30 or something like that, it's going to get documented that it gets done by Subaru. But if you're changing your own oil, I just run with the oil that these cars ask for, and it says on your little cap, and I put in high quality oil when I change my cars. Every once in a while, a tuner you might run enough power will recommend running a higher weight oil. Listen to your tuner and do that. In terms of intervals, every 3,000 to 5,000 miles or every 6 months. I typically change my oil in this car every 3,000 to 4,000 miles. It is just a level of protection. If you want your car to last longer without major repairs, just change your oil more often. That's a big thing that you can do. You have to do a lot of other things, but that's an easy and quick thing you can do. Coolant. Subaru uses a super blue coolant typically from the factory. It's an OEM coolant. They say that it's good for 100, 150,000 miles. Some dealers will sell you to change your coolant every 30, 50,000 miles because they want you to get they want the service. You see that more around the 30,000 mile mark. My rule of thumb with these cars is it's a good practice to change your coolant every 50,000 miles. Hear me out, there's a reason to do that. Coolant is not that expensive. You can definitely get more than 50,000 miles with the Super Blue, the OEM coolant that Subaru puts in here. You can definitely get more than 50,000 miles. But getting 100,000 miles, you're pushing it a little bit. You don't want overheating issues, not that these have a history of doing it. It's just good practice to do it. But what it will force you to do is check your cooling system. It'll force you to bleed your coolant system. It forces you to basically do a coolant service, which is going to help you in the long run. You're just checking everything over and making sure everything looks good from a coolant perspective. So every 50,000 miles, do a coolant service on this car. It's really cheap and easy to do on your own. Brakes. General rule of thumb, I do not wait for your brake pads to indicate, do not wait for your rotors to indicate, do not wait for something to go wrong with your brakes on these cars. They are far too expensive to replace if something goes wrong and the brakes fail, or you do irreversible damage because you've taken the brakes past what they're supposed to do. So my rule of thumb is brake pads every 30,000 miles. A lot of you guys are gonna be like, that's overkill. Brake pads are just so inexpensive and it's so fast to do them. I don't mess around, and I like the better brake performance. It's, you'll never be able to convince me that you don't get better brake performance on thicker pads. Yes, it's marginal, but if you're having fun with the car, it's so cheap to do brake pads every 40,000 miles. But I typically do pads every 30,000, rotors every 60,000 unless they don't look good, and then I do them every 30,000. Again, rotors are cheap in the grand scheme of things. And then I do brake fluid. I typically service brake fluid every 30,000 miles. I might add a little bit, take a little bit out. Like I just bleed it every 30,000 miles. I might do a complete swap every 50,000 miles. Again, the brake pads, I'm overkilling it a little bit every 30,000. In my VAs, I would go 50,000, and then my rotors, I just replace the rotors at 50,000. So in my VA WRXs, I always just did rotors and pads every 50,000 miles. Again, a little bit of overkill. Brakes are just one of the few things that you just don't mess around with, and having good braking on these cars, which is a bottleneck anyways on these cars, is just enough said. And then there's a bunch of other fluids that you can change on this car. And I'm gonna make a blanket statement. All other fluids, 50,000 miles. So every 50,000 miles, you do every other fluid your car has. Whether you have an automatic or a manual, that's gonna change your fluids a little bit, and you're just gonna adjust for that. So you're gonna do everything else. you know, transmission, diff, every other fluid, 50,000 miles. And part of that, again, these fluids aren't that expensive. It's good to change the fluid. It's better for those individual parts, but it's also good to do like basically a check on the car and reseal everything, check all those gaskets, and it just helps you get the most mileage possibly out of the car. I'm gonna say it because some of you guys ask, wiper blades. I do wait for the wipers to go bad. You can get as much life as possible out of the wipers and you'll know when you need to replace them, but when you need to replace them immediately. The one thing that nobody ever talks about, which I think is actually a pretty important thing to replace that I think is under talked about, is the PCV valve. I would be doing your PCV valve every 30 to 50,000 miles as my general rule of thumb. Like, part of me wants to say 50,000, but I want to say 30 to 50,000. On the VA WRXs, I typically did them every 30 to 40,000 miles. I have yet to do the PCV valve on this, but this car is only at like 22,000 miles, 21,000 miles. I will probably do it at 30,000 miles. If you're looking at the engine, it's in the back left of all WRXs essentially. Super easy to get to, super easy to undo and replace. They're about $190, so it is kind of expensive, but people are going to tell you to do it every 30 to 100,000 miles. I jump the gun because it's such an easy thing to replace, and there are a lot of reasons if you're going to own these cars for a long time to stay on top of it. I think most like shops will say every 50,000. I think most dealers will say every 100,000, and I think people that are looking to get 200,000 miles out of their engine block are going to say every 30 to 50,000. Let's call the PCV valve like 30 to 60,000. But you're not going to, let's say you have a bad PCV valve, you're going to mess a whole lot more up with your engine before that problem happens. And when you replace your PCV valve for the first time, all I can say is you have to replace it once, and then you'll realize why you need to replace it often. And I'm going to leave it at that, in that replace it once and you're going to be like, oh, I'm doing this every 30,000 miles because of the amount of buildup that you see on that thing. Filters, that's engine and cabin. So my rule of thumb is you inspect them every 5 to 10,000 miles. It's really easy to do. You're just inspecting them and banging them out. I probably change my cabin air filter. Maybe it's more of a time thing for me, maybe like once a year max. I actually am a little less aggressive. I'm a big believer that you only really need to change those cabin air filters like if it starts smelling bad, or there's a lot of buildup, or the filter actually physically looks dirty. I don't smoke in the car. I don't do anything crazy. My cabin air filter, this car's never been changed. On my VA WRXs, I've probably only done it twice. So I'm really just to like knock it out. If something goes wrong, I'll replace it. It is cheap to do, but it's not something you have to overdo. Engine air filter, more important. If you have an engine air filter that's aftermarket and you need to oil it, make sure you're oiling it. Otherwise, I typically knock them out, vacuum them out, oil them because I run an aftermarket intake. But if it was stock, maybe I do the engine oil filter. I inspect it every 5 to 10,000 miles. Maybe I do it every 30 to 40,000 miles. These filters are pretty well protected in terms of how this car gets air to them. So there's not a huge concern about like huge buildup, but if you live in a dusty area, maybe it's worth replacing. But that's an area where dealers are definitely over replacing because they need the maintenance money coming from you. Spark plugs, super important. I think this is something that nobody talks about, that they just say like once you start having issues, spark plugs every 35 to 50,000 miles on this car, period. Never get to the point where you have problems. That's how these engines prematurely fail or prematurely get damaged and then fail. Just every 35 to 50,000 miles. If you don't want to spend the money and you're not doing it yourself and you're paying someone to do it, every 50,000 miles. But I think most tuners and most shops will tell you at max 50, maybe 70,000 miles. But you know, a great rule of thumb is a tuner will not tune your WRX if you have 50,000 miles and you haven't put new plugs in. So that should tell you something. Plugs are also really easy to do on this car. So just do your plugs every 35 to 50,000 miles, and they're really not that expensive, but make sure you are getting like real NGKs. If you go on Amazon, they're fake. They say NGKs, they say iridium, they're not real. Make sure you're getting actual ones. Another controversial one is your clutch. You replace it when you start to feel a change or you're having problems, is my rule of thumb. Or you have the engine out for whatever reason, but never take your engine out. And I know that I made a video that's separate to this that I get further into it, but it's all about setting a baseline and knowing when that change is happening and when you start to notice a change, and that's when you want to start thinking about your clutch, and otherwise that's it. In terms of everything else with this car, there is the golden rule of thumb which I will die by. I tell every customer you should do this, and everybody in this world believes this. It's like, I call it the 5, 5, 10, 50 rule, which sounds stupid, but every 5K at minimum, right? So 5K is the longest you'll go without wiping down your interior, cleaning your exterior, cleaning the underside of your car, right? So the 5K is the interior, 5K is the exterior, which means you're cleaning both of them. That's going to, interior-wise, that's going to protect all your surfaces from wear. It's going to protect things from dust from sitting on top of it, UV rays hitting that dust that then damages the material, because typically people don't understand that like your seats don't actually get damaged by the sunlight. It's the stuff on your seats that react to the sun that damage the seats. And the reason why you never wait more than 5,000 miles on the exterior is because the paint and the clear coat on these cars, like all cars these days, is super thin, very unforgiving. So you want to get as much of that grime, that stuff comes off the road, off this car, because the chemicals that are on the road, you'll pick up chemicals on the road that will eat through and degrade your paint, for sure, like without a doubt. So that's going to help you the most. And it's also, if you do the underside of the car, at minimum, the max you go is every 5,000 miles. Just do a car wash, like, you know, wash your car like once or twice a month if you want the most out of it. If you don't, it doesn't really matter, you know, but cleaning the underside of it is going to keep you rust free. I'm going to have a whole separate video on how I keep all my WRXs rust free. I live in Boston, which is where you should have the most amount of rust ever, but I've never had rust on any of my cars, and it's because I take these steps. The 10K, so that's the 5 and the 5. The 10, the 5, 5, 10, 50 rule. The 10 is that you grease everything that needs to get greased. You'd be surprised how much on these cars actually need to be greased. And I'm not just talking about greased joints, but like I will typically take grease that you can buy at an auto parts store or Home Depot, and I'm greasing all the door closes, like the latching systems on the hood, across the doors. I'm putting a little bit of grease on that, and then I'm putting grease on most of my suspension parts, and not a lot of it. I'm just a little bit of grease. What I'm doing is two things. I'm lubricating them, but I'm also putting a protective layer on it. They're greased from the factory because they get a lot of wear and tear. So when you're thinking about latches that close the doors constantly are closing. It's affecting the material. What you don't want to do is expose the underlying material, which will cause rust, degradation of the material, could cause long-term issues. Same thing, underside of the car. You're not getting a lot of like movement, but like rocks hit it, like all these things kind of interact with it. Automotive grease is literally like a protective barrier. You don't want to put too much in because you still want it to be breathable. Too much in can actually trap water and liquid and cause rust. You're just trying to create a little bit of a protective layer that will fall off as things interact with it, because you'd rather it fall off as grease than it be taking the underlying material off your car. That's the 10. So that's at least every 10,000 miles. You just put a little bit of grease on your car. Automotive grease. The 50. The 50 one is for people that are super, super like, I want to get the most out of my car and I just want to be super careful. You might not be as automotive inclined. Everything that I've said so far, you can do on your own. 10 out of 10, you can watch YouTube videos, you can do it all on your own. The 50 is every 50,000 miles, take your WRX or your STI, but your FA24 WRX, your VB WRX, into a dealer for an inspection. This does a couple things. First off, it gets through all your TSBs, your technical service bulletins. It'll get you all up to date on all your recalls. The other thing is, like, if you're not super automotively inclined, they might catch something that's starting to fail that isn't on our list, that could be outside of the normal scope. Things happen with cars. Things are just going to fail. It's going to happen, right? So they might be able to catch something that you wouldn't otherwise be looking at, but it just helps. And it helps that it also gets something on your Carfax, which is going to help your long-term value, and yada, yada, yada. So that's every 50,000. I don't do that personally, but like if you're not as automotively inclined, I do everything that I talked about except up until that, and then I would every 50,000 maybe take it in once. It's just going to cost you an arm and a leg. Just getting them to look at it is going to cost you as much as like 3 or 4 of the things that I talked about in terms of normal maintenance. The one last thing that I didn't mention in the regular service is going to be alignment. It's really important to get very, very frequent alignments if you need them, and that's the key there. Is it depends on your driving, the quality of your roads. These cars, once they start getting out of alignment, will chase themselves out of alignment really fast, and that will really do a lot of damage to your suspension, your wheel bearings, everything. So the trick is to make sure you're on top of that. I probably get wheel alignments like once a year, and I live in Boston, so I don't get them too often, but I get them more than most of you guys that probably don't even think about them. And I also get alignments pretty often in wheel balances because I typically don't rotate my wheels, which I know that people say like rotate your wheels often. I typically try to stay on top of things where I don't have to rotate them. Like every once in a while, if I put a lot of miles on the car, I'll go front to back, right? But you can't switch sides on an all-wheel drive car if you buy the right type of tires. So it's really just a front to back rotation because you have, with good tires, you have a rotational direction. But if you stay on top of your alignment and you stay on top of good wheel balancing, which you'll know you have a problem, if you stay on top of both of those and service your tires and your wheels and your suspension like you should be, that's a little less important. And one of the reasons we didn't talk about it, because some of you guys aren't going to need to do that. Some of you guys are going to need to do that. And that's really dependent on where you live. But otherwise, guys, that's basically it. Anything else is a load of BS. For the most part, there really isn't anything more you can do for the car. And that's just everything I listed. I listed the lower bound when I gave a range of what I do, and I'm like hyper aware of it. Most people aren't doing that. If you're doing it doing some of those services sooner, then good for you. You're just like keeping your car better, but there might be diminishing returns is what I'm basically saying. Is there's diminishing returns in doing anything sooner, and everything that seems like, if I've said it and you're like, whoa, that's fast. Like when you heard spark plugs 35 to 50,000 miles and you were like, wow, that's fast. Part of that's coming from the data of just seeing thousands of these things and where problems start to come. And it's not that there's like a problem with spark plugs. It's just that spark plugs typically need to be done at 50,000 miles, even though Subaru says in their little booklet, I think they say 55,000 or 60,000 or 65,000. I forget the exact service. It actually year to year has changed in their, like in your booklet. But it's just, you know, some of that stuff is just coming from, I see a ton of these cars. And you know, that's how I would adjust all my intervals of maintenance. And that's basically everything you can do to keep this car healthy. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.